Scene start int bedroom night. The soft glow of a street lamp outside is the only thing pushing back against the oppressive darkness in Alex's bedroom. He lies in bed, sheets twisted around his legs, eyes shut tight, but his mind stubbornly awake. Sleep is a distant shore he can't seem to reach. The room is a familiar landscape of posters, a cluttered desk, and an overflowing laundry basket. But tonight, the shadows in the corners seem to writhe and stretch, taking on shapes that flicker just at the edge of his vision. He rolls over, pulling the comforter up to his chin, trying to will himself into unconsciousness. The air is heavy and still, thick with an unspoken tension that makes the fine hairs on his arms stand on end. A sudden, sharp creak slices through the silence. It's not the house settling. This sound is deliberate, like a foot carefully testing the old wooden floorboards just outside his door. Alex's eyes snap open, his heart beginning to thrum against his ribs like a trapped bird. He holds his breath, listening, every nerve ending tingling with the primal fear. For a long moment, there is nothing but the sound of his own blood rushing in his ears. He starts to relax, telling himself it was just his imagination, just the old house groaning. Then, a heavy thud makes him jolt. One of his thick textbooks has toppled from the bookshelf, landing spine first on the carpet. It hadn't been perched precariously. There was no breeze. Alex sits bolt upright, his breath catching in his throat. His wide, terrified eyes dart around the room, desperately trying to find a rational explanation where there is none. The shadows are no longer just dancing. They are gathering, coalescing into something deeper and more menacing. From the deepest, darkest corner of the room, a faint, milky luminescence begins to form. It shimmers, growing brighter, pulling itself together into a definite shape. The form of an old woman slowly materializes, her figure translucent, the posters on the wall visible through her spectral body. She is stooped and frail, dressed in a faded, old-fashioned nightgown. Her face is a mask of profound, heart-wrenching sorrow, her eyes hollowed out by a grief that seems to transcend time itself. She doesn't speak, but her mournful gaze locks onto Alex, freezing him in a state of pure, unadulterated terror. Slowly, with a hand that seems to waver in and out of existence, she raises a trembling, ethereal finger and points directly at the blank wall beside his closet. The gesture is silent, but it screams with an unspoken urgency, a desperate plea for him to see what she sees. Alex can't breathe, he can't move, he can only stare, his mind screaming while his body remains paralyzed. The woman holds her pose for an eternity, her sorrowful eyes never leaving his. Then, as slowly as she appeared, her form begins to dissolve. The light within her fades, her edges blurring and fraying until she is nothing more than a wisp of smoke, a lingering shimmer that is finally swallowed by the suffocating darkness. The oppressive presence vanishes, and the room is suddenly just a room again. Alex is left alone, sitting rigidly in his bed, his body trembling uncontrollably in the profound, deafening silence. The fear remains, a cold, heavy stone in the pit of his stomach, and he knows, with absolute certainty, that he will not be sleeping tonight. Scene end.